providing is what they need at the scale and the speed that they need, and not trying to overwhelm their system with unneeded material or unneeded capability. So there's, you talked about the Bush, but there's a lot of military capability on the continent under the European commander's authority that could be used. But again, we want to make sure that we're doing this appropriately through Turkish counterparts.
Just really briefly on the visit by President Lula, can you speak about how...
I'm going to come around, but she's still asking questions. I hear you.
Just the last question. Just the last question. Can you speak on how Brazil can be a partner in monitoring irregular migration, specifically because Brazil has been a route for Africans coming to the U.S. Through Mexico?
This is not an adventure race. This is a military selection.
They will play by our rules.
Do I still have that fire?
Special Forces World's Toughest Test, Wednesdays on Fox, and watch anytime on Hulu.
Everything you love from ShopRite is now in your phone on Instacart. Get free delivery on your first order.
A surveillance asset. The first one was able to maneuver and loiter, slow down, speed up. It was very purposeful, that flight path inside the jet stream.
That would suggest that maybe you should
and
it out.
over Alaska too, though.
Well, look, the Pentagon's already spoken to this question about whether or not they should have or could have shot it down over Alaska airspace. So I would refer you to, there was 2 hours and hours of testimony yesterday on that.
On the communications, though, we still don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, we don't know what intelligence or communications could have been collected or what devices they were targeting, as I understand it. So that being said, how can the president say it was not a major breach if we don't know that?
What we do know is we knew the basic flight path of this thing, and we were able to take steps at sensitive military sites that we believed would be along the flight path to significantly curtail any intelligence ability that the Chinese could get from the balloon. Certainly curtail anything that would be above and beyond what they normally try to collect through other means.
Go ahead, Zeke, and then we'll get around.
Thanks, John. Was this latest object that was shot down within the last hour, was that detected based upon any information gleaned from the monitoring of the last balloon over last week, in terms of what you learned about that Chinese program that informed the decision to shoot this item down?
I think I'd be careful saying that anything specific to what we've learned from that last platform. And we were able to collect some information from it while it was in flight. That was another reason why we let it traverse over land the way it did. But I would be I would not say that information gleaned from our surveillance of that surveillance balloon provided insights that permitted this detection and track.
And as of this moment, are you convinced that you shot down, do you know what you shot down, that it wasn't just, a harmless weather balloon, that there was some motivation flying this over U.S. airspace, or is it truly?
I think we're going to try to learn more. I can tell you it was an object, and it was at 40,000 feet, and the predominant concern by the president was a safety of flight issue at that altitude. Remember the one that we shot down last Saturday? It was at 65,000+ feet. So no threat to civilian aircraft. This one at 40,000 feet could have posed a threat to civilian aircraft, and it did not appear to have the maneuverable capability that the other one did. So, virtually at the whim of the wind.
Thank you, Corinne. So just thank you, Kirby. So to follow up on what you just said about civilian aircraft, is that what you meant initially when you said there was a reasonable threat to shoot it down?
Yes, my exact words were reasonable threat to the safety of civilian flight.
Okay, and to... Given what you said earlier about intent with regard to the Chinese spy balloon,
that it had propulsion capability and steerage capability, and could slow down, speed up, and that it was on a path to transit over sensitive military sites.
Thank you.
Thanks, Admiral Kirby. On the latest object, you said it did not appear to have the maneuverability capabilities that the Chinese spy balloon have. Did it have any maneuverability, or was it flying on its own?
At this time, All I can tell you is it did not appear to have the ability to independently maneuver. We'll attempt recovery, and we'll see what we can learn more from.
And then just one more on the Chinese spy balloon. We're reporting that the U.S. is about to impose export controls on Chinese companies that are believed to have been involved in that balloon surveillance program. Can you confirm that and say when the administration might impose those export controls?
I'm not in a position to confirm those reports right now, and I'd refer you to the Department of Treasury.
Thank you, Admiral. I believe you said this was shot down, or at least it landed in the waters or the frozen waters off the coast of Alaska, correct?
That is our initial assessment.
So is the policy still, considering the first one was shot down off the East Coast and this high-altitude object was shot down off the West Coast, is the policy at this point in time you could shoot it down if it's over a body of water?
I wouldn't derive from these two incidents some sort of policy that comes out of it. The president will always act in the best interest of the American people and international security. Last week, we were talking about a surveillance asset that was purposely flown over the continental United States. In the case today, we're talking about an object. Again, we don't know a lot about it, but that at its altitude represented a potential threat to the safety of flying customers, civil air traffic.
Based on your broad and deep experience, who do you think might own or have flown this thing in the air?
I have no idea.
Good man.
You know, you don't know who owns it, who's flown it, but has anyone from the administration reached out to the Chinese to see whether they will claim this new object?
I know of no outreach this afternoon to the Chinese government about this.
The State Department over the weekend, or last few days, I'm losing track of days, but since the first spy balloon, confirmed that they think that these Chinese spy balloons have gone over 40 countries. Considering that fact and this new development today, what's next on a larger diplomatic front? The U.S. talking with allies about how to police the skies, about how to bring this to the UN to figure out what to do?
We are talking to dozens of nations who we know have been overflown by Chinese surveillance balloons, part of this program that the Chinese have invested in, to share with them the context and information that we've learned by the forensics we've done since we came in office about this particular program. And I would remind you that we briefed Congress in a classified setting back in August about this. This is not something we haven't been trying to learn more about. We've been aware of it and trying to glean more information from it. And this, we expect that the recovery of the debris from the balloon we shot down on last Saturday, will help us gain even more information. But we are in the active conversations with many of these countries who we know have been overflown.
Yeah, where specifically in Alaska was the high altitude object shot down?
So the Pentagon will be talking more about this a little bit later. They'll probably have more detail for you. But the general area would be just off the very, very northeastern part of Alaska, right near the Alaska-Canada border.
So near the Arctic Ocean?
Well, yeah. In fact, that's where it went down, on that northern side of Alaska, near the Canadian border, on water that is frozen in the in the
never
Arctic.
Over land.
No, it was. It was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was shot down within the last hour. When did the U.S. first get intelligence that it existed?
The knowledge about the balloon and the track first came to our attention last evening.
Okay. What time thereabouts?
I don't have an exact time on the clock for you. It was last evening.
Well, have you ruled out, or not ruled out, but you have not determined that it was surveillance in nature, correct?
We haven't ruled anything in or out. And that's why we're calling this thing an object.
You just called it a balloon. You misspoke there.
I'm sorry. It's not a, yes, I'm sorry. You guys have...
You can't say it's a balloon either.
You guys have me with balloon on the brain right now.
Right.
This was an object. Let me just clarify, I'm not classifying it as a balloon right now. It's an object. We're still trying to learn more from it. That it landed on water that is frozen could help us assist, make it easier for us to try to recover some of the debris. U.S. Northern Command is examining what the possibilities for that are.
Finally, you said you have no knowledge of any outreach to the Chinese yet from the administration. Are there plans to reach out and ask whether they...
I know of no plans to reach out to the Chinese specifically on this. I want to stress again, we don't know what entity owns this object. There's no indication that it's from a nation or an institution or an individual. We just don't know.
Foreign entity, that's right.
We don't know who owns this object.
We'll keep going.
Thank you. Thanks. Are you tracking any other similar objects right now at this time?
I'm not aware of any other tracks.
And then also, I know that you said that this was due to a civilian aircraft threat, but why not wait till it's over warmer water where you could more easily recover?
It wasn't heading over warmer water. It was heading over the Arctic. It's not very warm.
Good.
Thank you, Karine, and thank you, Admiral. One question on today's incident and then one on a separate subject, if I may. Given how little was known about this object at the time that our forces shot it down, is it safe to say that when the President ordered that it be shot down, he did not know whether it was a manned or unmanned object?
We were able to get some fighter aircraft up and around it before the order to shoot it down, and the pilot's assessment was that this was not manned.
Okay. On a different subject, after the State of the Union address, minutes after he finished delivering the State of the Union address, President Biden encountered
Welcome back into Live and Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack, and welcome into this Super Sunday tailgate as we gear up for the Super Bowl 57 between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. It feels like a long time coming as we're finally here on game day. Of course, the scene early this morning as a picture from our Breland Moore Fox 29, the sun rising on State Farm Stadium as Super Bowl Sunday finally arrived between these two teams. Of course, very exciting to get down to business here. I'm Andy Mack. Thank you so much for joining us as we gear up for kickoff, and it's sure to be an exciting game between two of the top teams in the NFL, two of the top players in the NFL, including Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes and also Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts. Of course, we're going to gear up with all the sights and sounds leading up to the game, what you need to know, and also maybe a few tips on if you want to win some money there betting on this big game. Well, we take you out from earlier this week as the Kansas City Chiefs arriving in town. You can see the flag, Chiefs Kingdom, outside. As you can see, also head coach Andy Reid walking off the steps of this plane. Chiefs familiar with this site as they've been in a Super Bowl quite frequently. Not necessarily last year, but 2 years ago, they were Super Bowl champions themselves, raising the Lombardi Trophy over the San Francisco 49ers in 2020. So this is a scene they are very familiar with. On the other hand, the Philadelphia Eagles arriving to town also with a flag hanging out of the cockpit there. It's a Philly thing. You can see Jalen Hurts there arriving in some Kelly green Philadelphia Eagles gear. Plenty of excitement around them as they are widely considered the top team in the NFL. They are certainly the favorite. You also see Jason Kelce there, the brother that we'll get into making history as well. So certainly a lot of exciting times heading into this Super Bowl 57 here on Live Now from Fox. As the stage as set, they went through Media Day. They went through all the festivities leading up to the big game, and it will be kickoff shortly at this stadium. This was a live look over top as State Farm Stadium, the home of the Arizona Cardinals, now welcoming these two teams. Arizona certainly familiar with hosting this big game. They've done it a time or two before, and you can see the Arizona sun in February, certainly loving some of that. We want to put up a tweet here from the NFL PR, the NFL Public Relations, as they make a kind of an announcement here heading into this big game. This from Brian McCarthy saying, yes, the plan is for the roof to remain open for Super Bowl 57. No precipitation expected during the game, with a balmy 73 degrees at kick and temperatures dropping into the upper 50s. So certainly a lot of excitement there as we will get going with the Super Bowl at 6:30 p.m. on Fox. As we continue on, and with the roof open, that's going to make for a spectacular beginning. Chris Stapleton singing the national anthem, and then also a little bit of history with a flyover there at the end of the national anthem. Here's more from Fox.
57 flyover will feature 7 women, the first in NFL history.
50 years of women in naval aviation. So 50 years ago, first female pilot earned her wings, and now we have an entire Super Bowl flyover of women.
Lieutenant Catherine Martinez joined the Navy in 2014, following the footsteps of her grandfathers and dad. She's a Wizzo.
It stands for Weapons Systems Officer.
But on Sunday, she'll be sitting in the back seat of this F-18. Lieutenant Jacqueline Drew is also flying.
I currently fly the F-35C.
Her love for the Navy started in high school. After the Naval Academy, she landed her seat in flight school.
While I was in flight school, it turns out I enjoyed going fast, so jets seemed like a good fit.
For Lieutenant Lindsay Evans, her mother's work at NASA led her to flying the E-18G Growler.
If you've ever seen Top Gun, I'm essentially like Goose's equivalent.
She's an EWO,
an electronic warfare officer, and we pretty much control the weapon systems on the aircraft.
And on Sunday, you're going to see 2 F-18s, an F-35, and a Growler.
We'll be in a diamond-shaped formation.
Their TOT, or time on target, is to be over the stadium on the last notes of the national anthem.
If we're going a little bit slower, it might be a little bit louder as those jet engines just stay parked over the stadium a little bit longer. If we're going a little bit faster, they'll get a bit of a quicker show. We'll have a crew on the ground, both here at Luke Air Force Base and at the stadium itself on the radios, giving real-time feedback to the pilots.
They'll fly at 300 knots, that's 6 miles per minute, just feet apart.
Probably anywhere from like 5 to 10 feet away, maybe closer, depends on how feisty you feel that day.
For them, this experience is once in a lifetime.
If you want to do this, it's possible. It's exciting, it's nerve-wracking.
After the flyover, all 7 women will be attending Super Bowl 57. Here in Glendale, Desiree Fluellen, Fox 10 News.
That is so very cool, making history there at Super Bowl 57. Of course, the flyover, spectacular scene that we see at so many Super Bowls. But then once the coin toss gets going in the football game, you'll be watching the players on a field. And certainly a guy by the nickname of the Sod Father knows a thing or two about making sure that the grass is ready for this big game.
Every Super Bowl been the best Super Bowl.
94-year-old George Toma knows grass. He's known as the Sod Father. Some call him the Sultan of Sod. But for the first 27 Super Bowls, sod wasn't involved. It was seed, and it didn't cost more than $1,000.
So we had a seed. And from seed, I used to get the field ready into 5 to 14 days.
Now, nearly 6 decades later, it takes about 30 people on the grounds crew to make this field a reality. And Toma says it cost $750,000. Super Bowl 57's field already ranks in the top 2 behind Super Bowl 41, according to him.
But this is the new Bermuda grass, Tahoma, and it's so good. And this field, I believe, will be the second best field we ever, besides the one in Miami.
30-plus hours of rehearsal for the halftime show is in the works, but the crew preps the field to handle such a beating.
I hate to say this, but sometimes the halftime show is more important than the game.
For Toma, it's about the people he's worked with each year to make this gridiron happen. So we double-check to see if this is truly it.
Is this going to be your last Super Bowl?
I believe so. This is it.
Certainly a special one there as these live picture, State Farm Stadium, the field ready, the players getting ready, kickoff just coming in about 3.5 hours. Of course, we're following all of this, and we want to take you inside the game, a little bit of X's and O's leading up to it and what you might see. Here's more from our Fox team. There may be no one better to give us an insight into these two teams than our Fox 29 anchor and reporter down here in Phoenix, Arizona, Breland Moore. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. Obviously, it all comes down to this. Just give me a little bit of a sense of excitement as we gear up for this final game.
Yeah, I think this is one of those days that it's just, you can feel it, it's palpable, right? We've been in Chiefs media availability this morning. We were at Eagles yesterday. There's so much commotion and excitement here in Phoenix. And I think it's also part of coming off the pandemic, right? We didn't have this feeling a couple of years ago. And so just kind of getting back into the full swing of what a Super Bowl really is after so long of having a weird hybrid setup here at Super Bowls. It's just so great to be back. And I think you can feel it from the players, you can feel it from the media members, you can feel it from the fans here, that everyone is just so excited to get this thing going here on Sunday in Phoenix.
And it's going to be an exciting matchup. Two of the top teams in the NFL. Sometimes you get wild cards. Sometimes you get an underdog. These are two of the top dogs in the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe what's going to be the deciding factor when two of these top teams match up?
I think, first of all, this is just, as you mentioned, an incredible matchup. There's so many different storylines here, and I think this is the matchup we have all been waiting on. The two best teams in the NFL. I know that it sounds silly, but we often don't get the two best teams in the NFL in the Super Bowl, as you kind of alluded to there. So this is the matchup I think everyone wanted, and to see it come to fruition is just really something special here. I think Nick Sirianni has really been hitting the nail on the head here. The game is going to be won with the lines, the offensive and defensive lines here. We know that Philadelphia has the capability of changing games and really making an impact with those two areas, and I know Kansas City also, same thing there. So it's just going to be a fantastic matchup there, but I really think that that's where it comes down to, not the flashiness, and I know that everyone wants to talk about Mahomes and Hurts here, which we will of course probably get to, but that's where the nitty-gritty goes, in those trenches. And I do think, in my personal opinion, Philadelphia has the upper hand there, but I guess we'll have to see on Sunday.
Definitely. The Eagles are certainly so loaded up front on both sides of the ball in those trenches, like you mentioned, and that is why they are the favorite in this game. Of course, as we continue on, there are plenty of storylines for Super Bowl Sunday. Obviously, two black quarterbacks going head-to-head, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, the Kelsey brothers making history, Andy Reid going against his former team. Kind of what excites you about those storylines? Maybe is there an underlying storyline, or what's your favorite?
I love all of those. First of all, it's just fantastic for us to be able to witness history, to see Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes be the first black quarterbacks to play each other at this level at a Super Bowl, to see these young phenoms going head-to-head, and to see the respect they have for each other here, and to know that the magnitude of that achievement and of this moment is not lost on them, even though they are 27 and 24 respectively, has just really been incredible to see. So that is very special. Of course, we all love Big Red still, and just to see him be reunited with his players during opening night, and to just hear the love coming from guys like Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox, just being able to reflect on their time with Big Red, and you just see their smiles on their faces. That is just so exciting. But my personal favorite story are the little crossovers that we're getting here. Defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo for the Chiefs. His wife is from South Philly. He was telling me all about her family and how there's dividing lines here. Chad Henne, backup quarterback for the Chiefs, born and raised in Berks County, just outside of Philadelphia. He said, he's like, I'm getting texts from my gym teacher and stuff talking about, I don't know who I'm going to root for. Isaiah Pacheco, Chiefs running back, is from Vineland, New Jersey. That is in our coverage area as well. And so just to hear them kind of reflect on, well, I used to root for the Eagles growing up, or, you know, I have this connection to this other portion of the team, and to hear them share that and to just really kind of connect on that personal level has just been really special, and it's been so much fun.
That is so much fun for the biggest game of a lot of these guys' lives. So certainly a lot of fun there. I got to ask you, because obviously you cover the Eagles a lot, and their last Super Bowl victory, they pulled out some trickery Do we expect to see a Philly special part 2 in this game?
The Philly special, you know what I would absolutely love to see? I would love a big man touchdown. Jason Kelsey, his time to shine would be now. If we're going to do some trickery, that is what I want. I want a big man tutty, and I want it to be Jason Kelsey. But, you know, I think Nick Sirianni has his own little version of playbooks. But I'm hoping that that is going to be one of the tricks up his sleeve. Because how cool would that be to see playing against his brother Travis in the Super Bowl?
That would be certainly bragging rights, to say the least, on that podcast that just continues to take off. Breland, that's so funny. And obviously, Breland, you used to cover the Kansas City Chiefs, and you were there for their Super Bowl run. How special of a ride is it for Kansas City? Because they are at the top of the top of the top with Patrick Mahomes. How maybe dynasty, how does that maybe factor into this game?
This team is so special, and obviously, you know, I'm on the Philadelphia side right now, but Kansas City has been a powerhouse over the past couple of years. I got there right after they lost that AFC championship when Dee Ford jumped offside. You guys remember that. And I knew then that there was something special about this team just coming in and knowing the work ethic and just the atmosphere, that intangible thing that you felt in the locker room. I knew walking in there that they were going to go far. I didn't realize they were going to win the Super Bowl, but it was definitely in their realm of capabilities. And to see what they've been able to do after that has just been incredible. And even this year, you know, a lot of people were doubting this Chiefs team because of the absence of Tyreek Hill, and they have proven time and time again that they are just capable of rebuilding over and over again and still producing that same high quality offense that we're used to seeing. And Patrick Mahomes, what else can you say about the guy? He is a once-in-a-generation talent, and it's just some of the stuff that he's able to do is absolutely mind-blowing, and it seems as though he just keeps getting better and better and better as time goes on, which is obviously very rare. You know, sometimes quarterbacks are being easily able to be figured out after a certain amount of years there, but Pat just keeps bringing it day in and day out, and wow, it is just the most incredible thing to see. And so I cannot wait to see how he deals with this Eagles defense here that we know has been so powerful over the course of this season.
For sure, and obviously talking about Patrick Mahomes, it's just like his 5th or 6th year as a starting quarterback in the NFL. So that's just wild to think about. On the other side, I would be remiss not...
Do you know he has never finished a season as a starter anything less than an AFC championship appearance? I mean, think about that. He's 27 years old and has never finished a professional football season as a starting quarterback with anything less than an AFC championship appearance. That is unbelievably mind-blowing.
Unbelievably mind-blowing. We probably got another decade plus of that guy in the league, so get ready. I do want to ask you about Jalen Hurts, because obviously Patrick Mahomes, a star, but Jalen Hurts on the rise. What he did this year, so incredible, both on the ground and through the air with those weapons. Talk to me about covering Jalen Hurts, because he is a guy that went through adversity at Alabama, went to Oklahoma, now with the Eagles. Tell me what's it like covering that guy.
And he went through adversity here in Philadelphia. There was a lot of controversy surrounding Jalen's pick. Of course, remember, Carson Wentz was the guy here in Philadelphia, and then they went and drafted Jalen Hurts. Now, in hindsight, of course, 2020, we all know that that was the correct decision because Jalen has just really done fantastic things here for the Eagles. But coming into this year, there were a lot of question marks surrounding whether or not he would take that second-year leap. We saw he was a little bit scrambly last year and was doing a lot of things that are very characteristic of a rookie quarterback, right? But we wanted to see him take that progression. And man, he's really just taken the challenge and blown the doors off of it. My favorite thing about Jalen, though, is that no moment is too big for him because he never gets too high or too low. It's the same answer whether they blow a team out in the NFC Championship or they lose. The standard is the standard. And, you know, you just got to keep the main thing is what he always says. And just very calm, very even-keeled, and that translates very well to the rest of the offense. They follow his lead. Despite the fact that he's 24 years old, one of the youngest players on the team, everyone looks to him, and you can feel them also just mirroring that demeanor that he carries himself with day in and day out. But no matter how young he is, there's so much maturity radiating from him that it's just really hard sometimes to remember that he is 24 and only a second-year starter in the National Football League.
It is crazy. He certainly carries some of those Nick Saban cliches over from Alabama to Oklahoma now
Very much.
to Philadelphia.
Yep.
My last question for you, Breland, before we let you go, give me a prediction for the big game. What are we predicting? What are we seeing? What are we envisioning for the outcome of this one?
No offense to the Chiefs. I covered y'all. I love you. But it's the two best teams in football. I think the Eagles roster, top to bottom, is more solid than the Chiefs. The Chiefs have better stars, arguably. But the Eagles, top down, are, and as a matter of fact, they're healthy, which is the key thing here. The Chiefs wide receiver corps, a little bit banged up here. Not sure how they're going to perform. So I'm going to go 27-18 Birds. But we'll see how it goes. I think this is going to be a matchup we're going to remember for a really long time here.
Breland, I would have to agree with you. I think the Birds are just too much. I think it could be a rout, too. But obviously, Patrick Mahomes, the X factor there, we don't want to count him out. But I think it might be a rout for Philly.
Never count out Mahomes' magic. That's
no,
right.
definitely. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. Some great insight there ahead of the Super Bowl. You were watching there. We appreciate it. And this is a live look. Super Bowl festival. Activities getting underway, the game kicking off at 6:30. Lots of money on the line for this one. Certainly the Eagles, though, the favorite in this one. We'll have much more from Fox Bet coming up in 2 minutes. Welcome back into Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. This is a live look at State Farm Stadium. Certainly a lot of excitement around this, especially since Arizona, where sports betting is legal. It's the first time a Super Bowl has ever been hosted in a state that is the case. We're going to be joined right now by our Fox Bet associate, Dylan Brosman. Thank you so much, Brosman, for joining us here. Certainly a trading operations senior manager. Obviously, I can see you're maybe a little bit biased on this day, but hey, that's okay. Everybody's got to pick a side. Thank you so much for joining us. What are we looking at in terms of this game, in terms of the sports betting side, Dylan?
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, obviously, this is the biggest day for sports betting in the entire year. We expect more bets to come in today than any other day. Compared to other Eagles games, this will probably take about 10 times as much money, even compared to a playoff game. And compared to basketball, it's about 100 times more popular. So yeah, we're going to see a lot of money coming in, already have, and about, 70% of bets will be coming in today, even though the game's been available for about 2 weeks now. So
everybody's procrastinating to the last moment, and I know the betting gets going right from the beginning. Obviously, the national anthem, certainly some props out there, but the coin toss always gets a lot of differentiating and bets on it. What are we seeing from the coin toss right now?
Yeah, it's perhaps not surprisingly, 51% of people think that it's going to be heads. But on the other side of things, 2/3 of total money is actually on tails. So I don't know, maybe there's a sharp angle on tails there. And 60% of people think the Eagles are going to win it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. It's not necessarily a 50-50 split with the coin toss, which it is. And how maybe have we seen the lines move? Because sometimes you learn about an injury and the lines kind of change. How have the lines moved leading up to this big one?
Right. Yeah. So the Eagles actually opened as 1.5-point favorites. And yeah, midweek, it briefly changed to 2.5, and now it's actually back to 1.5. So yeah, compared to other Super Bowls, there hasn't been a ton of line movement. It's been pretty solid and consistent at the 1.5.
That is very interesting because these are two very top teams. Like we're just talking with Breland more about two of these teams just being really two of the top teams where really could go either way. We're also talking about prop bets because there are so many prop bets when it comes to Super Bowl Sunday. What are you looking at as maybe your favorite, and what are the different popular prop bets out there?
Yeah, so obviously when it comes to the Super Bowl, there are hundreds of markets you can bet on. So they get pretty creative, but the ones that we're seeing the most action on are Jalen Hurts, 25 rush yards in each half, and you can get that at Fox Bet at plus 333 odds. We're also seeing a lot of action for Travis Kelce and Gainwell, each to have a touchdown at plus 700. And yeah, also very popular is people trying to predict the exact final score. And right now, our most popular one in that market is a lot of people think the Eagles are going to beat the Chiefs 31-28. And if that exact score happens, you get 50-1 odds. And that will be quite a big loser for Fox Bet if that is, in fact, the final score.
That is certainly wild because the over-under is right around 50, so that would certainly push it over as well, but potentially coming down to a field goal. We've seen that before in the Super Bowls. You mentioned liabilities for Fox Bet, certainly something a lot of people think might happen, and if it does, Fox Bet's kind of on the line for them. What are other liabilities Fox Bet maybe hoping doesn't happen on Sunday so they can save some money too?
Yeah, for sure. So that's a big part of our job as sports traders is to kind of manage those liabilities throughout the lead up. Right now, the biggest one will be Jalen Hurts if he's the first touchdown scorer. That would be quite costly. And also Patrick Mahomes, everybody seems to be on the over for his yardage line, which is currently 292.5 yards. So if he goes over, that'll cost us a lot. And the MVP market, Hassan Reddick is our biggest liability, so we're hoping he doesn't have multiple sacks.
This has got to be so interesting for you because this is one of the biggest betting days of the year. I mean, does this feel like Christmas morning for you and someone that works in this business like this?
Yeah, it does a bit. We're looking forward to the break afterwards, but yeah, today is kind of the culmination to the entire season, so.
It's definitely so exciting because Glendale, Arizona, hosting the Super Bowl between the Eagles and the Chiefs, and just down the road, Waste Management getting going with this PGA Tour event. And obviously, the scene in Phoenix is outrageous the last couple of weeks. Have we seen that grow the game, the sports betting? Have we seen a lot of people bet winners in both of those? How maybe has that worked with the PGA Tour event happening just a few miles away from where the Super Bowl is being played?
Yeah, definitely. So the Waste Management tournament is typically the most popular, most bet on golf tournament aside from the majors. We expect today to be no different as they enter the back nine. I believe John Rahm's 2 back. He's also our biggest loser in that event. So yeah, we're hoping Scheffler holds on to the lead there, which would be a nice result for us.
That is going to be a busy weekend for all those Arizona sports bettors and bettors from around the country. For more on what people can do, how would people get on Fox Bet and how maybe can they wager some money, possibly win some money with Fox Bet? Do you have any more information on that?
Yeah, so if you're in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Colorado, or Michigan area, just simply download the app. And yeah, we have as good a markets as any sports book there is, best odds, most unique bet boosts, custom bets, whatever you want, we have it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. I know a lot of fun, and obviously people are just hoping to have a good time, maybe wager some money, maybe wager if you win a few bucks as well. So Dylan Brossman, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. We appreciate your time and what you do over at Fox Bet.
Thank you, Andy. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Go Birds.
Go Birds, as he says there on his final kick, not unbiased at all as we head into Super Bowl Sunday. So it's a very exciting time. I'm Andy Mack. We're going to take another quick 2-minute break.
Switch to Boost Mobile and get a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone featuring a quad camera and 6.6-inch display. Powered by one of America's largest 5G networks. Switch to Boost and unleash your power.
As women, our bodies change as we age, and it's not as easy to lose weight anymore. That's why I teamed up with the experts at Nutrisystem to help create their newest plan specifically designed for women ages 55 and up. Introducing Complete 55, weight loss made for women by women.
Get protein-powered meals delivered to your door, including Hearty Inspirations meals that control hunger for up to 5 hours. Go online or call right now to get today's special offer on Complete 55.
Much for continuing to join us, and we want to continue on with our coverage of this big game. And I want to put up this tweet right now from the mom of 2 players on the team, Donna Kelsey, certainly sporting that hashtag Game Day Fit. She's the mom of Chiefs tight end Travis Kelsey, but also Eagles center Jason Kelsey. A very exciting time for her, and well, whoever wins, she wins. So it's a very exciting time for her. She was become a popular person this week leading up. Certainly history between the two brothers to face off in the Super Bowl. For more on that, we go out to our Stephen Goen, who caught up with the Kelseys, or people close to the Kelseys from their hometown. Here's more.
Heights High School. This is where it all started for Eagle center Jason Kelsey and his brother Travis, a tight end for the Chiefs.
We are very prideful of where we come from in Cleveland Heights, Ohio, that Northeast Ohio love.
The city now showing its love for the Kelseys, who will make history as the first brothers to play against each other at a Super Bowl.
You know, they were very competitive growing up. Jason was the, kind of the ultimate big brother. Come on, Travis, we got to be on time. We got to do, we need to be here. We need to do this. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
It's a sibling rivalry that kicked off years ago on a high school field. Mike Jones was the Kelseys' head coach at the time.
So Jason worked extremely hard at his craft, and then Travis was a quarterback. He was quarterback by default, really, because he was the best athlete on the team.
Then they went on to the University of Cincinnati, and later NFL success, including prior Super Bowl wins for both brothers.
Just to get our guys to a point where they made the NFL is it's a tough draw to do that. And for them to make it to the Super Bowl, it's just been icing on the cake.
Jones now rooting for Jason and Travis as they prepare to take the field. Cleveland Heights set to have bragging rights for years to come, no matter which team or which brother wins the game.
Here at Cleveland Heights, it's a win-win for us.
That is so very cool for Jason and Travis Kelsey there, and everyone in Cleveland Heights there, as well as their mother, Donna Kelsey, who is sporting kind of a sewn-together jersey of Travis and also Jason Kelsey. As we continue on here on Live Now from Fox, I want to give you one more live look at State Farm Stadium. We are now less than 3 hours until kickoff of Super Bowl 57. All the festivities around it are done, and we are continuing to watch the big game, people filing into this arena. And of course, the NFL also concerned about
This one is a clear indication. You ready? There we go. Clearly, this is not a championship caliber ring.
Federal officials warning consumers not to waste their hard-earned money on knockoff items.
They're getting inferior merchandise. First time you wash this thing, it's going to fade, it's going to start falling apart. Again, I just hope that they don't wind up with a rash because some of the chemicals used in the process.
There are a few things to look for. One, does the item have a tag with an official NFL hologram? If so, check the details.
Let's hold up the light and reflect. The NFL shield in the center of the hologram, you should probably see a red and blue color, as well as the footballs that are in the hologram. They should have a brown color.
Then take a close look at the quality of the stitching.
The stitching on the shield, it's going to go through the shield, or it's not going to be 100% accurate. This case right here, you've got nice, clean stitching.
And something that is not part of official NFL gear.
Sometimes counterfeiters forget, and there's felt. Felt is a clear indication that it's a counterfeit product.
While buying counterfeit gear may seem harmless,